When I was a kid, I really love animals, so I tried to get some information or gain some knowledge on them by searching the internet or go through books. Moreoverly, I would always ask my dad to bring me to the zoo because I'd like to see them in action, or I like to see them right in front of my face rather than on TV. But when I get there, I always felt this very sympathetic feeling for them because they don't really look happy inside. So, Assalamualaikum to my lecturer, Miss Adila, and to those who are watching. My name is NURIN IMANINA, and I'll be talking about animals shouldn't be kept in zoos. So, in my speech, I would like to explain on the three points in my speech, and that is animals used against their will for entertainment, captivity makes the animals go crazy, and the third one is zoos are dangerous for animals. Now you have a glimpse on what I'm going to be talking about, so let's move on to my first point, and that is animals used against their will for entertainment. Now animals have been held captivity for thousands of years, and the first zoo to do so is in Paris in France, and it was opened in 1763, and yeah. Basically it first opened because people were interested in science and natural history, and zoos were means of displaying and studying animals. So zoos were rightly claimed to be educational, but nowadays people would only see an entertainment than just some illumination. Big animals and small animals are what draws them to go to the zoo. And as you all know, zoo workers take this as an opportunity to raise their income by forcefully making the animals to please the guests so that they would come every single day. And with this, animals' emotions are neglected due to human beings' greed. So it's not all good for the animal to stay in the zoo, because animals are just used for entertainment, and that is actually really bad. They should be in a conservation where their species are not going extinct and so on. So with that, I'd like to move on to my second point, and that is captivity can make the animals go crazy. Now, in the wilderness, as you all know, it's a very vast place. Like elephants travel up to 30 miles a day, and birds would always be active like in 18 hours a day, just roaming their homeland for miles and miles. And lions and tigers would really love to climb and hunt. So yeah, so when they don't really have those, they don't really get to exercise, or they just wouldn't get any privacy for themselves because people are just keep coming in and looking at them through displays and the glass windows, which made them very irritating. And this goes, for example, towards Gus, the polar bear. He was known for the Central Park's famously depressed polar bear. This is Gus right here. He made quite a headline in the 1990s because he alarmed the visitors by forcefully swimming for 8 times a day, sometimes 12 hours a day. And it made them very worried, especially for the kids. Sometimes Gus would stalk them through his underwater window, which made the kids frightened. So the zoo workers had to force themselves to build up a barrier between Gus and the kids because the kids were frightened with his predatory glare. Now, and Gus was mentioned in Bretman's book, which is which is Animals Madness, How Anxious Dogs, Compulsive Parrots, and Recovery Elephants Help Us Understand Ourselves. This is because Gus was forced to live in a place that is smaller than his range within his habitat, so for him it's quite stressful. Now, there are so many different abnormal behaviors, and this is some of them. Tongue playing and bar biting, rocking, head bobbing, weaving, and swaying. And these are the abnormal behaviors when the animals doesn't get what they want or what they are used to in wildlife, and they can't do anything about it, so they tend to do some create some abnormal behaviors which can also hurt themselves. And now you see that captivity is not the answer for every animal out there, and it will make them act harshly, or it will make them act somewhat different or very aggressive. So now let's move on to my third point, and that is zoos are dangerous for animals. Now, sometimes zoos would take advantage of them just by displaying them in cages, like a very small space. However, they don't really care if the animals are in a cage full of garbage or something that was thrown in their exhibition. And with this, animals can die because not only they think that the trash is food, they would sometimes those things that were thrown in the, you get what I mean, right? So okay, so like I would like to move on with an example, and this is Yawari the gorilla. He was fatally shot by the police after eluding from his cage, and the reason why he was eluded from his cage, like after the barbed wires and so on, is because the teens were taunting him before he was eluded from the cage. And the second one is the two polar bears in St. Louis who died in 2005. And the two polar bears, the first polar bear is Churchill, who died as a result of an object being thrown into the exhibition, and Penny here, who died because the zoo staff did not take any measures when the polar bear had an infection caused by the two dead fetuses in her uterus. So basically, these accidents happen because of the people who are in charge and the zoo itself. Animals shouldn't really go through all this. So, it's really devastating when you get to look at how the animals die just because of us. So, now I'll justify these 3 points, which is animals used against their will for entertainment, captivity can make animals go crazy, and zoos are dangerous for animals. Now, animals shouldn't go through such things, and let the animals be wild animals and live in their natural habitat rather than keeping them as those domestic pets, because it's very inhuman. So that's all for me today, and thank you.